So, who makes the better pie and mash? Is it Sainsbury's or is it Morrisons? Well, today I'm going to find out because I'm going to try them both to see who's best. So let's start off first with Sainsbury's. So this is by far the most fancy Sainsbury's I've ever been to. Located in Harrogate, the building looks like an old Greek temple with the columns and entrance. Now I've been here before, but that was for their breakfast. Today I'm here for the pie and mash. Let's head in. I ordered a cup of tea with my meal, but you might have noticed I have an extra little cup, which you might be thinking, what is that for? Well, it's to put your tea bag in. It's the first time I've ever had that rather than a saucer, but I'll take it. Right, so here is the Sainsbury's Taste the Difference steak and ale pie. Let's have a closer look at what you get. You get a portion of garden peas, a portion of mashed potato, the steak and ale pie that looks pretty good, and a pot of gravy on the side so you can pour it on yourself. Let's dig in. I'm going to start off with the mash. It looks like a solid and heavy one, but has a good golden colour. Let's see what it's like. Not bad. You get a slight potatoey taste and a good buttery flavour, which I'm surprised about. The texture is, well, pretty thick, stodgy and heavy. It's a really heavy mash. One serving of this is probably going to fill you up for the whole day. Let's move on to the peas. They're a nice green colour. I would say similar to the big packs of frozen peas you can buy in their supermarket section. Let's try them. Decent peas. You get a bit of a pop when you bite into them and a nice pea flavour. Let's move on to the pie. It said on the menu that it's a taste the difference one, so it should be better than your average pie. Let's get into it and see what it's like in the middle. So this is interesting. The top is puff pastry, whereas the sides and bottom is a short crust one. But it does look pretty nice. I've cut off a piece with a bit of both pastry and steak inside. Let's see how it tastes. Nice. The puff pastry on top is light and flaky. The short crust pastry on the bottom and sides give it a substantial bite and crumbles away when you chew. The filling on the inside is good too. You can really taste the flavour of the ale in there. I want to try out just a piece of the steak on its own. You get decent sized pieces. It's covered in that ale gravy from the inside. Let's eat it. Very nice. It's got a good meaty chew with a beefy flavour. Again, you definitely taste the ale in there. It's a good pie filling. Right, I think it's time to pour over the gravy. It does seem a little on the paler side and a bit runny too, but we'll have to see how it tastes. I'm going to start off with the mash to see how the gravy is. They do normally go well together. Let's see if this one does. It's okay. The gravy seems more like a chicken gravy rather than a beef one, if you know what I mean. Normally with chicken or turkey, the gravy is a little bit lighter, but with a beef one, it's a bit more meaty and heavy. This one is definitely a better with chicken one. Let's move on and try it out with the pie and see if that makes a difference to how it combines. It's decent. I think the pie might actually be better without the gravy on it. Right, it's combo bite time. This first one is the pie with that nice ale flavour and pieces of steak, mixed in with the mash and gravy. Here it goes. Nice. And now we have the ultimate bite of this meal. Everything on the plate. This is probably the best one of all. Let's eat it. Very good. So this was a decent pie meal. The pie was definitely the best thing, and I'm surprised by how it tasted. I don't think I was expecting that much from it when I saw it first, but I was pleasantly surprised. I think the gravy could have been improved to make it a better fit for the meal, but not too bad. So that was a decent pie mash in there. The pie in particular was pretty good. So the total cost of that meal was £8.30. Let's move on next to Morrisons. So I'm usually a fan of the Morrisons cafe, but recently the meals I've had have not been up to scratch. So I'm hoping it can redeem itself with its pie and mash. Let's head in. I got a pot of tea with my meal, but they seemed to have run out of cups and everyone was having to use the paper ones instead. So it might seem like you get more tea here than Sainsbury's, but I think it's probably about the same, as the teapot only just manages to fill up the paper cup. Right, so here is the Morrisons pie and mash meal, which on the menu is called the chunky steak pie. So with this meal, you get the chunky steak pie, a portion of peas, a healthy amount of mashed potato, and the gravy on the side in a little jug so you can pour it on yourself. Let's dig in. I'm going to start off with the mash. So straight away, this mash seems light and airy. You don't have to use much force to scoop it up like you did in Sainsbury's. Let's see how it tastes. Not bad. You get a subtle potato flavour, not really any butteriness, it's just potato. The texture is light and fluffy, much easier to pick up. If only it had more buttery flavour, then it would be pretty good. Let's move on to the peas. They have more of a lighter, almost faded green colour. Let's see how they taste. So these peas are really soft and mushy. In fact, I think they're only one step away from being mushy peas. There's not really any texture to the bite. If I were to hazard a guess, I would say these are tinned peas rather than frozen ones. Let's move on to the main event, the chunky steak pie. It's a good size and I'm looking forward to trying it. Let's cut it in half and have a look at the filling in the middle. So this pie has one of the hardest bases I've ever encountered in my life. I found it virtually impossible to get my knife through it. It's almost as hard as sourdough toast. So when I finally managed to get through the base, this is what it looks like. It's not the most appetizing pie I've ever seen, I have to admit, but we'll have to see how it tastes. I've cut off a piece with the steak and pie crust on it. Let's go in for a bite and see what this is like. Not the best. So it's a short crust pastry on the bottom and top. It crumbles away really easily as you chew, maybe a bit on the dry side. The filling in the middle is, well, very dry too. There's not much of a sauce in there. Let's try out just a piece of the steak on its own to see what that's like. It's a decent size, but I think it's the biggest one in there. Let's eat it. Very chewy. The steak is dry and tough. In fact, the whole thing is really dry. That goes for the steak and the crust. I mean, the base of this pie is just too hard. you struggle to get a knife through it even when using a lot of force. There's virtually no gravy or sauce in the middle, and what sauce there was has dried up. I'm not sure when this pie was made, but it tastes pretty stale. Let's pour some of the gravy on it and see if that helps with the lack of moisture in the pie. It is a nicer looking gravy than Sainsbury's though. It's a darker colour and thicker consistency. I'm going to start off by trying it out with some of the mash, which is not too bad on its own to be fair. But how will it taste with the gravy? Let's find out. It's okay. The gravy is nice and thick with a meaty flavour. Now let's try it out with the pie and give it some of that moisture that it desperately needs. So it doesn't actually look that bad when you put the gravy on it. Let's see if the taste improves. Not quite. I don't think there's any saving this pie. I think it's too far gone with the tough steak and base and dryness. We have to do some combo bites though, as it's always the way to get the best out of any meal. So this one is the pie with the mash and the gravy. Here it goes. And then for the ultimate bite of this meal, everything on the plate combined together. Let's go for a bite of this. Okay, so this is not one of the best ever meals I've had in Morrisons. It ranks towards the lower end. I was expecting so much more as I love their breakfast and fish and chips, but I'm beginning to think that they're the only two dishes worth eating. If you think I should try out any other meals to see what they're like, comment below. So that was the Morrisons pie and mash, and the total cost of that meal was £8. So which one did you prefer? Comment down below. For me, it's a pretty easy decision. Sainsbury's takes it. You could really taste the difference there. The pie was a lot better. The steak was pretty good. It had a nice ale flavour. The crust was edible. The mash, that was not too bad too. It had a good buttery flavour, although it was quite dense. Okay, if you like the video and want to see more, click on the thumbs up icon below and click on subscribe to come along for the next food journey, and I'll see you in the next one.